Welcome to the O'Leary Project.
Today we answer the question that's been on everybody's mind.
Have you ever wondered which came first, the waffle or the waffle iron?
Let's get to work.
So to answer this question, we're going to have to take a trip about 800, 900 years back into the 12th or 13th century. My math might be wrong on that one. But food historians have actually traced waffles all the way back to ancient Greece. These early editions of the decadent food that we all now know and love were actually called obelios. But unlike modern waffles, obelios were not fluffy or sweet.
The Greeks used a device consisting of two metal plates attached to long wooden handles that they used over an open fire to create the obelios.
Where did the design begin?
It was actually the Catholic Church that began placing designs on these obelios. They began calling them oblis, which in Greek translates to wafer. Now, when I say that the Catholics began putting designs, I don't mean it's the grid. What they were putting were mostly crosses, biblical scenes, or other religious icons.
As time passed, people began to put their own designs onto the oblis, such as family crests or landscapes, really any artistic thing that they could come up with, they would put on these oblis. It wasn't until the 15th century that the grid-like design began appearing. The Dutch had begun using rectangular plates to create what they called waffles, and for some reason they chose the grid-like pattern. Not exactly sure why.
We saw some research that some people think that it might be they were doing it to spread more batter over a larger, using less batter to spread over a larger surface area.
Okay. That makes sense. Not sure if that's true, but that could be a good reason.
We'll go with that. So when did the waffles become that fluffy and sweet kind of waffle we know of?
Well, that would have been somewhere between the 14th and 16th centuries. As to the flavor and texture of the waffles, it was most likely the French who began adding the ingredients that made these plain oblis into the more sweeter and fluffier waffles. Some sources say that there was actually quite a controversy between the people who made the oblis and the people who made the waffles. This controversy supposedly got so big that they started fighting about it. And perhaps the King of France even had to get involved to stop the battles that came up because of this.
This is some intense bakery shenanigans.
Yeah.
So as to the toppings and types of waffles, the Germans, French, Dutch, and some other European countries started to create a variety of waffles, such as chocolate, coffee, and in Belgium, the popular Liege waffle, which was a thick waffle covered in caramelized sugar, which sounds so good.
Pretty darn good.
From our research, it was in Queens, New York, at the World's Fair in 1964 that the combination of fruit and whipped cream topping became popular in America, but it was probably popular over in Europe way before that. So when did they actually become waffles instead of the waffle?
Well, the first time that the word waffle was actually used in history was in a cookbook titled Court Cookery. This cookbook was written by a man named Robert Smith, and it was published in 1725. The term was actually used later in the 18th century as well for what the Americans called waffle frolics, which were basically waffle parties where they would get together and eat waffles.
We need to bring that back today.
Waffle Frolics 2019.
All you apple scratchers out there, bring it back.
Waffle frolicking.
So, well, we talked about a lot of the waffle. What about the waffle iron? Where did that one come in?
Well, as we mentioned earlier, the waffle iron's origins are all the way traced back to ancient Greece as well. It doubtlessly underwent a great number of changes, but let's just focus on a couple of the most notable changes over the centuries.
The first one is where the Dutch and possibly the French turned it into those rectangular plates and started using the grid-like pattern around the 14th or 15th century.
The second most notable change was in 1869. A man named Cornelius Swartwart, however his name was pronounced, interesting name. This man was from Troy, New York, and he patented the first stovetop waffle iron.
Which that was something that helped it become a more household item. Before then, a lot of just common people couldn't make waffles on their own.
Yeah.
The third one then is in 1918, which is actually only 100 years ago, which is just crazy. General Electric invented the first electric waffle maker. So that's the waffle maker that we all probably have in our house that we use on a regular basis.
Yeah, so as to answering the question of which one came first, I really don't know.
Yeah, I guess it's like neither, because you never had a waffle without the waffle iron, but you never had the waffle iron without the waffle.
So if we're going to be technical, I guess you could say that the waffle came first, because the first waffle iron that is like our modern waffle iron wasn't created until 1869, whereas the term waffle did come around in the 1700s. So in that case, waffles win.
Waffles come first.
Yeah.
In our hearts and in our lives.
Yep.
Wrong side. So we are actually going to do a battle now. So a bunch of us bakers, including myself, are going to make some waffles using different things. We're not going to use a waffle iron. So we're going to see how we do using different techniques, different heat sources to try to make a waffle without that waffle iron.
Then me and a couple other people are going to judge how those went down and see which waffle ended up being the best, even though it's not going to look anything like your typical waffle.
Nope.
So
I'm pretty hyped, so stay tuned for that.
Let's get to it.
But I'm going to be making a waffle with this fire right here that we started kind of doing it mountain pie style. I have this mountain pie iron right here. So it's preheating right now, nothing quite in it, just warming it up. And then eventually what I'm going to do once it's nice and warm, which it probably is already, doesn't take long, I'm just going to spray it down with a little bit of cooking oil, pour the batter in it, and sit it on there. I've got some nice hot coals, ambers down below here, which should do most of the work in pulling all that heat up. It should do a pretty good job of cooking. The one thing I'm scared of though is it seeping out the sides, because it's hard to keep it even on the log. But hopefully it should do well, and the fire took it pretty quickly. And the thing is, I'm not going to be able to fill it above where that bottom thing ends. So hopefully when I close it up and I cook it, hopefully it'll rise a little bit and fill up the top layer as well. So I'm hoping will happen. That should be good. Up, and there's a little lock here which I'll put on just to try and keep it sealed up. And I'll throw it right there. Cook for just a couple minutes. Flip it, do it again, and yeah, it shouldn't take long. We'll see. Maybe let it sit here for another 30 seconds to a minute. All right, I'm gonna try it now. Let's see what it looks like. It shouldn't be runny at this point. It may need a couple more minutes, but we'll see. Ooh, that's nice. Yeah, so that side's definitely gonna need a couple more minutes. There we go. I'm still gonna have to cook it a little bit more because it's still a little white, but as long as it wasn't runny and running out the sides. So the most suspenseful part for me was just that first time opening it up, because you don't want it to be too liquidy and then open it up and it just spills everywhere and just have a mess. It just probably would not be happy. And so it's very hard to know when's the first time to check it without letting it burn. So when I opened it up that first time to check it and I saw that it was okay, it gave that sigh of relief, and then I felt more comfortable with checking it more often because I knew it wasn't going to run over. flip it now because even though it was white, you'd be surprised how quickly it goes from white to black with this. Okay, so yeah, that side, so this side's looking pretty good, but I might cook it a little bit more just to try and get this side, but this side looks okay to me. Fire is the best way to cook most things. I mean, even if it's a gas stove, and so that's why I feel pretty strongly I think my waffle is going to be the victor. Yeah, see, this is where it comes into play, you know, how quickly it goes from, you know, white to black. So that side's definitely done, which most likely means this side's good as well. Yeah, it's a little white around here, but as long as that's good, I mean, even if you tap it, it's not squishy, so it should be good. Do we have a plate?
I don't think we do.
Oh, no.
Yeah, everything was going well. It was perfect. And I pull it off, and I start looking around, and I'm like, holy crap, we don't have a plate. We've got to get a plate. You know, if it stays in the iron, it's going to keep cooking. It's going to burn. I'm freaking out. I mean, Paul Lotz is never going to forgive me for this. Like, oh my gosh. And luckily, the camera guy was so helpful, and he ran inside and he got it. Ended up being a little more charged than I wanted it to. But he was okay. But, you know, I hope Paul Lotz can forgive me for that one. Sorry.
Boom. See, that's why I was a little scared about when we didn't have a plate, because yeah, the iron was out of the fire, but I knew it was going to keep cooking because that iron's hot. I think it should be pretty good. It smells good. It doesn't smell burnt at all. Yeah. Ready to win this thing.
Hello, Apple Scratchers. I'm going to be making a waffle using a tinfoil mold in the toaster oven. Toaster oven is heating up right now. We got some waffle mix made, so I'm gonna put the mix inside the waffle mold, and put it in there, and we'll see how it goes. So here we go. Is this satisfying for you? So I did make some divots in here, so we can maybe hopefully get that little grid pattern in the waffle. I think that's enough. That might have been too much, but go big or go home, right? So I'm going to put the top of the waffle divoter inside this mold so we can get the divots in there as well. And now I'm just going to stick it in the toaster oven. I have it on 300 degrees, but that's why I'm putting it in here, because I'll be able to adjust the temperature if needed, because I've never made a waffle in the oven, so. So I just kept checking on my waffle, and it was taking forever to cook. I did not think it was ever gonna make it. I'm gonna take it out now. It's been in there quite a while, but I think it looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the way that the mold worked. You can see it coming out a little bit right there, so let's see how the mold did. It's a little hot. Maybe we'll wait. So this has cooled down slightly, so I'm gonna try to take it out of here. I realized that I didn't spray it, so I'm slightly concerned now. My hopes have gone downhill, so we'll see how it does. I just hope it stays in its form. This doesn't look bad. It's not too shabby. Now I'm concerned about this one. I think it might have just, the tin foil didn't crispify it. So it's just gonna stick. And it's gonna be really soft. So if the judges like soft waffles, then I'm good. If they don't, I'm going home. So I was really excited to use the tin foil on my waffle because I thought using that mold would be such a great idea, but I forgot to spray the tin foil, and as I was taking it off, it was just peeling off all of the outside, and I was just so worried that it wasn't going to get hard at all, and it was the inside of a waffle. At least it did hold the divots. You can see it a little bit. So there's how you make a waffle in tin foil in the toaster oven. Let's see what the judges think.
So I'm going to be making a waffle on the stovetop. I've greased the pan, and what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to kind of build the waffle shape within the pan. Kind of like when you're making eggs. So I'm not sure how that's going to work, but we're going to try it and see if the judges like it.
So I chose stovetop because I figured everybody else's ideas just looked stupid. I mean, who's gonna cook a waffle on a grill? And a toaster oven? You gotta go with the traditional stovetop and see what happens.
I could probably turn this on. That'd be a good idea. Now we're gonna let this sit and then see if we can shape it. So now I'm going to try to shape it something like a waffle. We'll see if that works. It may just come out really poorly. I'm gonna have to try to flip this thing in a couple minutes here. Good enough. All right, so now I'm going to try to flip this because we've got something of a square waffle shape. But we're gonna see what happens here. I sprayed this pan. We'll see what happens here. This is not looking good. Maybe a stovetop waffle is not the best idea.
Oh my goodness. It just fell apart.
It's more like waffle bites. Let's hope the judges are small-mouthed. I think it's ready. All of them are ready. This looks like cornbread.
Alright, so I'm going to be trying to make a waffle on this grill, and I have a mold, just like Joe. It doesn't have a top, also, unlike Joe. But I decided not to make divots. I decided to make weird little line shapes just to try to, experiment with it. So we are going to put the batter in it, and once this is done heating up, we will put the tin foil on. Hopefully it'll cook well. Just gotta put the batter in. Now, as soon as this grill heats up, then we can put this on, and we will be ready to cook it. Alright, it's ready. Never really cooked anything on a grill, so hopefully I will not hurt anyone.
Put it in the middle.
Alright, so we got our thing here, and we are gonna close this up and wait for it to cook. And I'll probably do it pretty fast.
Oh boy, it's looking good. It's bubbling over. Look at it.
Alright, so I'm looking at this, and it's really bubbling over. And something that I kind of thought about is I don't have a top, so I can't really flip it over. I could just put a piece of tin foil on it and flip it, but that would kind of be hard to flip it. And so I'm thinking we can just try to make it cook all the way through. Hopefully it doesn't burn the bottom. That's one thing I'm hoping, but we'll come back to you in a couple minutes. Oh, what am I thinking? I need a tinfoil top so I can just flip it over and it's gonna burn the bottom. I was so stupid. Oh. I got my little checker decker here, and I'm going to check this thing. Man, it's looking nice.
It's a little brown on the edges there.
Looks pretty good to me. I mean, nothing's really coming through. It looks pretty cooked. I just think the top needs like slightest bit more. So I'm gonna leave it in here for like 30 more seconds. 29, 30. All right, let's do this. Ooh, it's looking delish. Yep, we lit. All right, now we gotta get our spatula. Take this off because this thing's probably burning hot. Slide it to the back. It's looking pretty good. I want to take this tinfoil off to see what it's like, but I'm sure it's burning hot. So we should have sprayed this tinfoil. I don't care if I rip this stuff because I'm probably never gonna never use it again. Oh no. The tinfoil cooked into it. Oh my gosh, that's not good. Oh my gosh, my mold wasn't down enough and the batter got underneath and it's gonna ruin my waffle. It's burnt, it's the tinfoil. Well, the bottom is really burnt and I'm gonna have some trouble getting this tinfoil out. Oh, the judges are not gonna like this. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hands off! Oh my god. This stinks. You're gonna be okay. That's fine.
All right. Hello, we are your judges for this waffle contest. Our first contestant is Olivia, or Joe, whatever you want to call her. Come on up. Today I've made a delectable waffle for you. It is made... I made it with a tinfoil mold in our toaster oven. I hope you enjoy it. So, this looks like something was peeled off. It looks like an inside of a waffle. That's my problem here. I like very light waffles, but I know a lot of people want darker, and I like the bumps. I see that you tried to still go with the regular waffle. It's just very thin. Anyone else?
Yeah, I agree. Like, it does look like it's been skinned. The bumps are actually pretty impressive considering it was made out of tinfoil, but I do prefer a little bit darker. I don't prefer, like, really dark, but I would say a little bit darker than that.
Yeah, I think most people enjoy the little crispiness on the outside. We don't see that here. There's a sponginess because this is the inside of a waffle. If I flip this over, there's still a sponginess. That means that the waffle was not cooked thoroughly on the outside. I guess we'll have to see what happens when we taste it.
This side is like still kind of like doughy-ish, and I like it. I like very light waffles, and I don't know what it tastes like, and also let's taste it.
What do you think? Is it good?
It's a thumbs up of approval. Every waffle needs syrup.
I'll go for this super, like, doughy part here. That way we can see how it's cooked in there. This tastes like when we used to make pancakes in the microwave.
It's very
Not good.
tasty.
I think it's not a bad taste, but it's not my thing.
I like this taste because I like very light waffles, and this has a light waffle taste.
It does actually have a lot of good flavor.
Well done.
All right, next is Jake or James.
This waffle.
What? How'd you cook it?
Okay, so I made a mold out of tin foil, and I cooked it on the grill.
All right.
Looks pretty good from this angle.
Yeah. Oh, it's a little flimsy. It comes apart when you pick it up. And the bottom looks like, did you cut off the burnt? Was the bottom burnt?
The bottom was burnt.
There's some flakes there. So, what do you guys think?
Yeah, it looks like there's pepper on it, but I think that's charcoal.
I thought it was pepper too, and I was like, oh no.
Definitely
I'd rather
looks,
pepper.
it looks like a piece of garlic bread.
Yeah.
It does. It does. You definitely got the crispiness on the side, which is good. So I'm just gonna use
That's a
my hand
plus.
because it's coming apart. This one actually tastes like a real waffle.
Oh, thank you.
What do you think?
The consistency is like good, but
You don't like the taste?
I don't like the taste.
It's bitter for some reason. I don't really know why, but it's very bitter. Well done.
Thank you.
All right, we are going to call Elijah to the table.
This is my waffle.
Wow. This actually looks pretty good.
Looks like French toast.
That's what I was going to
That's what I
say.
was going
How'd
to
you
say
make
too.
this?
I made that over a campfire outside, built a nice little fire, got a mountain pie iron, filled that up about a little less than halfway, and then closed it up, put it over the fire, and checked on it every now and then. And it looked okay. Just it got a little more burnt than we wanted to because we didn't have the plate ready when it was done, and so I had to hold it in the iron a little longer. But I think it's good, and I think it cooked through all the way.
We will see. It's very tough.
The one side's a lot thicker.
Yeah.
The coloring is not bad, but like I said, I don't really like dark.
Wow.
I like it light.
That's actually cooked well.
It's very good.
It's pretty fluffy inside.
Very fun. Anything
Yeah.
else?
I'd say it reminds me more of a pancake than a waffle, though. But it's still pretty good. The taste is good.
I like it, but like I'm not a big like waffle fan, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good.
It does it has the sweetness. Like Jake's tasted like a waffle, but it was kind of bitter. Like Matt said, this tastes like a waffle and is sweet as well.
Well done.
I just got the aftertaste. You can tell it was cooked on a campfire.
Yeah, it tastes like smoke.
Yeah.
It's good though.
It's
I like
different.
that.
Our last contestant is John. How did you like cook this?
So what I did was I made it on the stovetop. I put it just in a regular pan and then tried to shape it because I didn't really want to do the foil thing because I saw that didn't work as well with some sticking. So I figured if I just shaped it right, it would stay the shape. Apparently it did not, so hopefully it tastes better than it looks.
Yeah, it's still very gushy, and it's like I just thought it was kind of like scrambled eggs. It's like a light pan waffle, and I like those. So I wonder if it tastes good.
Ooh, it's brittle.
Definitely very crumbly, and it looks more like you attempted a pancake than a waffle.
Yeah.
Or scrambled eggs. It's very squishy.
Oh, it tastes like the first one.
Hey, I definitely got a little bit of a it wasn't cooked enough piece. But honestly, I'm a weirdo. That's fine to me. That uncooked taste.
I don't like that.
It's a little undercooked, but it's interesting. It's different, that's for sure.
Well done.
Thanks.
I think we have an answer. We are now ready to announce the winner. The winner won because of all around greatness. The taste, the look, the feel, the schmuck. You ready to announce the winner?
The winner is
You did well. You did well. Come up here to receive your trophy.
Get your award.
A lifetime supply of organic maple syrup.
Oh my gosh.
Who would you like to thank?
My mom, my dad, and that's it. Especially Paul Belotes. He's taught me so much. Never could have been here without him. For you, Paul B.
So, thank you guys for watching this episode. It was a very touching and emotional story, like most. And see you next week on TV.
So, that was some pretty interesting research, some pretty interesting waffles that we made, and actually some of them ended up pretty cool. I was pretty impressed by the one over the fire. I felt like that was the most true to ancient Greece. What I found the most interesting about the research is that the waffle didn't have anything to do with a pancake, because that's kind of what I was expecting, is that it was a pancake and then they started putting that grid-like pattern on it, but it was completely different from the get-go.
Yep.
Yeah. For me, it was interesting to see that they did both start really in the same place, which makes sense. Obviously, you had to have something to cook the original waffle, but the waffle iron itself hasn't really changed. And what Elijah ended up using outside is basically the same idea, where you had two metal plates of sort. It's that you cook that waffle inside over an open fire. So I guess in a sense, Elijah made an Obelius.
Yeah.
He did. It
It
was a good
more
one.
fluffy though.
Yeah. A little, yeah.
It wasn't the wafer.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, if you've stayed tuned for this long video, thanks. It was a good one. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook. They are both at the O'Leary Project. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Like this video.
Oh
Don't forget to comment below if you have any interesting thoughts on waffles. Maybe you can even share your mostest, favoritist waffle recipe.
Oh, please do that.
That
That
would
be
be
fantastic.
awesome. Yeah, and
Don't forget to stay on top.
see you next week. I was like, what do we say?
I don't know.
I was just gonna start.
I should say, comment below a video of a liege waffle and send us some in the mail, because I want to try one of those.
Thank you for being our apple
The
scratchers.
liege waffle is a waffle
I want to sincerely
coated
thank.
in caramel.
yes.
Also, thank you to whoever made our fan account. It made all of our lives amazingly
Except
better.
It's not that amazing because I don't know who it is.
Yeah, please reveal yourself. We're wondering.
We'll have to sue you
Yeah.
for rights.
Yeah.
Love you, app
Hey,
scratchers.
and maybe you can come on the video. But if we don't know who you are, you can't come on the video.
Ooh, incentive.
Yeah.
Have you ever? Oh wait, hold on. Shh. Today we answer the question that's been on all of our mind. Who the heck made our fan account?
Let's get to work.
Yeah, we'll
See you next week.